This problem set, we're actually going to start doing some more advanced things with the Phillips curve, and that's really where we're going to spend our quality time here today, is looking at the sliders of SRPC and the shifters of SRPC. So the shifters of aggregate demand are CIGXN. Those are consumption spending. Hopefully we know these. Investment spending, right? Government spending, and net exports. And so hopefully we know those shifters like the back of our hand at this point. Let's think about if we had two graphs, one right next to each other, and we had Y and unemployment percent, and we had price level, and we had price level percent. And we'll say we've got an aggregate demand curve and a short run aggregate supply curve. We'll leave it for that at this point. And then we'll say here, well, go ahead. We'll throw an LRAS on there. LRAS. And then we've got an SRPC and an LRPC because we've got a Phillips curve and we've got a ADAS model. We're going to repeat that here. We're actually going to do these four times here. So we're going to get some practice drawing, but this is good practice. You're going to need this practice for the AP test. So this is why I have you do these. I know it's a pain. I know you hate to label all the stuff, but it's important. You've got to get that muscle memory in where you know how to graph these really quick. So you're not wasting time going, oh, I don't remember. Is this that? Or what do I do? What's the label? Get to the point where you could just draw them like nobody's business, right? You could do this. YPL, and then aggregate demand, and short run aggregate supply, and LRAS, because this is the ADAS, and then UE percent. Now I'm going to remind you, you got to put those percents. You got to do it. If those percents aren't on there, you're going to lose those points. And we want to lose points based on the really tough problems, not for the silly stuff, right? Not for the stuff like that, where you could get the points for labeling correctly. Come on now, right? You don't need that many points to do well on an AP test, but you got to get the ones that low-hanging fruit is the way to think about this, right? Be strategic. Don't be lazy and lose points just because you didn't want to label a line or something. I'm seeing a lot of people graphing where they're not labeling all their lines. You got to do it. You got to do it. Okay, so now that I've nagged you and we've drawn 8 graphs here, we're going to say the AD curve shifts to the left. Maybe there's the recession or some reason or whatever. So AD shifts to the left. Now we know we're going to go from, we'll say, point A to point B, right? But now the important part, and so we see that prices have gone down, output has gone down. How are we going to change over here? We're going to go from point A to point B because we are at higher unemployment and lower prices. So notice that the price level goes down here, price level goes down here. Well, if output is going to go down, which is what we have here, YF to Y1, then the unemployment rate is going to increase. So notice they move opposite each other. The dots move opposite each other from A to B. Now let's see what happens when aggregate demand shifts to the right and there's an increase. Well, we know there's going to be more output and we know there's going to be higher prices. So what's that do? What's that do in the LRPC, SRPC? Well, we start here, A, and then we move up to B, right? We do higher prices and we do lower unemployment. So again, the dots move opposite each other. The dots move opposite. Now that's for aggregate demand shifting because so these CIGXN are the sliders of SRPC. We're going to slide along that SRPC curve. Notice we're not moving it. We're just sliding along it. Just sliding along it. Now, we've got SRAS. The SRAS shifters are the exact same as the SRPC shifters. So this is a useful thing. You remember when we did this thing where I said IRAP, and I got that from Jacob Clifford, right? I'm the first to admit it. And we said IRAP are the shifters, and we moved our hands back and forth in class. We said there are inflationary expectations, resource prices, and we know that a big category of those is wages. We know regulatory actions by the government, and we know productivity. Now, these are the IRAP. Those are the SRAS shifters. So if SRAS shifts to the left, that's a decrease. SRAS 2, well, we have less output and we have higher prices. Well, an important safety tip, we're not going to slide along the SRPC. We're going to have a whole new SRPC, and it's going to shift to the right. It's going to shift to the right. And so we can observe the same thing that happened up here. Notice that the A and the B's moved opposite. They actually moved toward each other kind of here. And here the A and the B moved diagonally opposite from each other. Likewise, they're moving diagonally opposite here. Notice they're moving diagonally opposite. The A point to the B point. The B point's not up here. It's not up here, guys. This A to B is a short-run equilibrium in the sense that we're not at YF. If we were at YF, then we'd be at Nauru. So eventually, we would expect maybe B to go back to full employment, and then we come back to here. But if we are on the line on the LRPC, we're going to be on the line with the LRAS. But if you're not on the LRAS, you should not be on the LRPC. And notice they move opposite each other, right? That's the IRAP. Is IRAP, then they shift out from each other. Same is true if SRAS shifts to the right. Let's take a look. SRAS shifts to the right. We go from point A to point B. And the same thing, we shift to the left for SRPC. SRPC, and we go A inward to point B. Notice we are not on the LRPC. We're not on the LRPC because we're not on the LRAS. And again, this should reflect reality, right? We've got lower prices, which is what we have when we're moving from A to B. And now we've got more output, which is what we have when we're A to B here, but we have lower unemployment. So this is to say output's going up. Let me get that so you can see it. Output's going up and unemployment's going down. That's the relationship we should expect, right? So that diagonal movement is going to be really important though, right? From A to B and from A to B. All right, so hopefully you've taken some good notes here. Now we know the shifters and the sliders of Phillips curve. See you next time.